right, welcome everybody. Loving that Subsplash beat. I don't know who made that thing, but getting after it. I love it. We'll save that for the Christmas party. But hey, welcome everybody. Thank you guys so much for joining Subsplash webinar, Building Community and Driving Engagement with Subsplash Messaging. Woohoo! I'm Bobby Wooldridge. I'm a senior ministry consultant here at Subsplash. So excited to take you guys on this journey for the webinar, and a couple things we just want to cover. Obviously, we are going to explore and really take a deep dive at this one piece of the Subsplash ecosystem, which is Subsplash messaging. But even before that, we really want to establish, like, why do any of this, right? Why spend any of your time, talent, resources, energy into this space? Why mobile? Why Subsplash? Why Subsplash messaging over any other communication channel? And why did a lawnfish just swim across my screen? All of these questions, except for the fish, we're going to cover here on this webinar. Hopefully have a little fun. But I wanted to bring in my co-host and partner, Mike Domer. Mike, product manager here at Subsplash. He is one of the brilliant minds behind this product of Subsplash messaging. And the amazing part is he just has such a huge heart for serving the church and applying those God-given talents and applying that into creating amazing tech for our partners. Mike, say good morning.
Oh, well, thanks for that introduction, Bobby. Yeah, I'm a product manager here at Subsplash, working out of Seattle. I've actually been working in church technology for about almost 8 years now. Even got the privilege of serving as a deacon of operations at a church plant. So yeah, I feel a lot of the problems that you folks are all going through as you figure out how to communicate effectively. So yeah, I'm really excited to help co-host this webinar. Before we jump in, though, I have a couple housekeeping things. Just as a reminder, we are going to be recording this webinar, and it'll be sent out via email later today. So you'll be able to review everything that we talk about. In addition, we're going to be using the Q&A feature. So this is actually my favorite part of this webinar. Bobby's going to kind of take the lead on it, but I'll jump in at the end and help answer some questions. So down at the bottom of the screen, you'll see the Q&A button. And so if you click on that, you can submit questions as we go along. And then if you see someone else posted a question that you really want to have an answer to, upvote that. We probably won't have time to answer all of the questions today. So we'll kind of loosely go through it and use some of the upvotes to help us target maybe where to talk about. The last thing as well is we're going to try something a little bit different for this webinar, which I'm really, really excited about. We've done a couple of these before. And what we're going to do for this one is allow you folks to get in, at least on the web version of Subsplash messaging, and play around with it. Try, sending some messages or prayer requests or gifts or whatever. So there's some instructions here. We're going to post these in the chat as well. So you guys can, as we go through the introduction here, you can set up an account if you want on Subsplash messaging on the web. So you'll follow the link that's posted. Create an account, and then there's going to be a discover button that you'll find down in the lower left corner. And from there, you can see different public channels. And we've created one for the March webinar. But don't feel like you got to remember all that. It'll be posted in the chat as well. And with that, I'll turn it over to you, Bobby.
Awesome. Well, thanks, Mike. And again, yeah, well, we're going to send a recording out for everybody. Don't feel like you have to get carpal tunnel writing everything down. We will make sure everyone gets a copy, or if you join later or anything like that. But okay, the big why, like, why do any of this? Where do we even start? Where do we even begin this journey? And so here's the cool part about my role here at Subsplash. I get to talk to literally hundreds, probably even thousands of churches each year about how they are navigating this, how they're accomplishing the discipleship journey, and then are we leveraging good tech to accomplish that goal? And so the other amazing part about my role, I get to talk to teams on every single, personality and end of that spectrum. Church plants that are meeting in living rooms, all the way up to huge mega churches that have been around for hundreds of years, all the way to churches that are just beginning, and everywhere in between. And the amazing part is the Great Commission applies to everyone. And so not even just us on staff. And so the goal and the mission, no matter size, no matter personality, no matter makeup of the congregation, that doesn't change. And so being able to utilize these tools for every single personality is really cool. And really the difficulty or the challenge in all this is the power of four. So maybe you guys know some of the study. It was a big famous study. Basically, the Center for Bible Engagement did this study, and they studied spiritual habits and how do we increase actual spiritual growth and measure that health of that person. And basically, if a person engaged with biblical content 1 time a week, nothing, almost no spiritual growth. 2 times a week, it's pretty good. Still no growth. 3 times a week, and still flat, not moving the needle. We had to get that person to 4 times. If we can get that congregation engaging in biblical content 4 times a week, that's when the magic happens. Depression drops, anger drops, alcoholism drops, all the other dependency issues drop. And on the other hand, all the positives skyrocket. And so feeling spiritually connected, being willing to share your faith, being loved, all of those things basically skyrocket through the roof if we can get that person to 4 touch points, which is really difficult. Because think about, you might have someone who attends church on Sunday and shows up every single Wednesday to small group. That gets us halfway there. We're still not getting all the way to really fostering spiritual growth and being able to help that person grow in their relationship with the Lord. So yeah, the journey's tough. Why it's so tough though is why we're going to lean into these tools. Why, especially at Subsplash, we have websites, we have mobile apps, we have online giving, we have live stream, we have messaging, we have all these tools in the toolbox. They all play well together and they all lean into one another. But the reason we lean so heavily into cultivating a strong online campus is because 90% of Americans, 90% are within arm's distance of their phone 24/7. And it's a gross stat. I'm guilty just as anyone else. But think about it. My phone, it's on my desk, it's on my nightstand, it's in my pocket, it's in my cup holder when I drive. Literally everywhere you go, that thing is in your orbit. Hopefully we're not on it 24/7, but it is in your arm's distance almost every single time. And if the phone is charging on the other side of the room, you probably have anxiety of like, oh no, what am I missing? And so with that said, we understand that we use this as a very effective bridge into that person's life to increase touch points, to make sure this is our one-stop shop to foster engagement. And again, if we want to understand the power of it, and if it even works, think about the other team's playbook. All right. You better believe the enemy knows how to use this device. You better believe the enemy knows how to use that to bring anxiety, depression, feel inadequate. All of these negative things can flow through that device, not because maybe the device is inherently evil, but sometimes we as the church don't even show up to that battleground. We're not even trying to fight for it when it is truly the most effective way to communicate in these times. Why don't you jump down to the next slide for me here too? Here is the To Make Matters Worse study. Barna Group did this really cool study, basically just wanting to understand the status of the church after these past 12 months that we've all been through. And here's kind of the breakdown. 1/3 of church-going population are back in the building, and they're back attending their regular church, and they're kind of back to business as usual. That's great. 1/3 is pretty much solely watching online. And the interesting part with that 1/3, they might not be watching your church. And so about 30% of that 1/3 is actually kind of admitted they're just kind of hopping around. They're checking out other churches. So yes, they're watching online, but that doesn't mean that they're watching your church. They could literally be kind of jumping around and developing just different habits. And then probably the scariest 1/3 on the pie chart there is 1/3 of the church is just MIA. They have floated off. They are not engaged in any way. They're not attending in person. They're not viewing online. They've completely broken that habit. And we need to come up with a strategy of how do we carry out that parable of the lost sheep? How do we go find those that have wandered away and bring them back into the fold? And so, yeah, the mission's tough, and there's a lot on all of our plates right now. But at the end of the day, that is the state of the ministry and the state of the world that we're all trying to navigate. And so we're going to take a little deeper dive in the tools that we figure out how we do this successfully, how we make an impact. But let's see if we can get a little interaction from you guys. let's do a quick poll here. I'm going to launch the poll. All right, let's see some poll results. So hopefully these poll results popped up for you guys. Some really interesting feedback here. Almost half are really leaning heavily into email. Others are using texting, Facebook group, a few other chat services out there like Slack or GroupMe, and then kind of the other field as well, basically coming in third or fourth, excuse me. But email, that's really interesting. That is definitely a tool I think a lot of teams use. I'm not saying email is irrelevant, but at the end of the day, it's probably the least effective out of all these. How many emails do you get when you wake up in the morning? How many of those emails are complete spam that you don't listen, you don't read, and you don't even care about? How many of those emails come in and it's someone you didn't even sign up for the email to get, and it says, during these trying times, here's our stance on COVID. And it's like, gee, thanks, Starbucks. Like, I didn't even ask. And so at the end of the day, email in 2021 has completely become white noise. Again, it's not saying it's not a tool that we should utilize, but it's far from being the most effective. And study after study after study is going to show that. And anybody who's worked in marketing or communications, you'll probably even see that. If you get 10 to 20% of an open rate from an email blast, you're in the Hall of Fame. You're doing great. and so that leaves 80% of the meat still on the bone. But let's jump to the next slide here real quick. So the benefit of Subsplash and Subsplash Messaging specifically, though, again, is cultivating that online environment and this one-stop shop, and not having to send people all throughout the whole internet to find touch points. Being able to cultivate that one space, to streamline communication, to foster meaningful interactions, to weed out all the nonsense that comes along with some of those other platforms. Plus, it's safe, secure, branded to your church, branded to your ministry, and not having to feel like it's someone else's tool that you guys are just playing around with. This is just your ministries that you guys get to put your own stamp upon, and just so much easier to onboard. Having that game plan of like, if we want to foster, we can funnel them into the one environment. We know exactly where they're going. We know exactly what they're going to see and what they're also not going to see, which is even more important this time of year. Jump on down to the next slide for me. All right. And so again, with the Subsplash environments, they all do play well together. I think now would be a great time to show you even what this looks like in action, and how to take these experiences beyond just Sunday, and how to free yourself from having to rely on some of these other tools out there and take ownership back.
Cool. And as Bobby switches over, I'll just give a quick reminder. If you haven't been able to get in and start using it, you can follow the instructions in the chat up at the top. And then if you do have any issues, I'm told that there is someone from our support team that can help you get in there. So yeah, take it away, Bobby.
Cool. So welcome to my computer screen and my cell phone. Yahoo, make sure your phone is on silent whenever hosting a webinar. I have made that mistake a couple times, and my mom or wife are calling and I'm getting in trouble. So let's check this out right here. So I'm going to go wide here with my cell phone so we all can see this just a little bit better. And I'm going to click into this Inner Bay Community Church app. This is our demo environment. So you guys are welcome to download Inner Bay Community Church in the App Store as well. And you'd be able to click on this top right-hand corner to see that chat thread. And so right in here, you'd be able to see this March 4th webinar that we're participating in right now. Welcome everybody in. Yahoo! And then you can even create prayer requests. So I'm going to type one real quick. Oh no, my puppy dog's sick. And then you can convert that into a prayer request. Boom. And now everybody within that thread and within that channel can see exactly what we're praying for. You're going to see up here in the prayer tab, as prayer requests start to stack up, as this tool becomes adopted more, you can go back weeks, months, days, and see what we're praying for as a channel. And the cool part here too, you can mark that prayer as answered and say, she's all better. Woohoo. And let everybody be updated on the progress of those prayer requests. And as you'll see here too, there are multiple threads and channels that I'm a part of. You can click up here to discover and see any groups that you want to participate and join in. as well as maybe you could create one for your live chat service. So I know a lot of teams are using chat on Facebook or something like that while live service is going on. We could still have that very, very same experience right here inside the Subsplash chat. But the amazing part with this, it also doesn't need to be married to a media item. So a lot of teams are using chat in this season, but only chat while Facebook Live's going on. This gives you the ability to free yourself from that. And so something like our community group, and you can do polls, you can do GIFs, you can do all those different interactions in there to increase touch points, set reminders, let people know, hey, we're meeting at John's instead of Steve's. Hey, reminder, everybody, read chapters 4 through 5. Hey, here are the discussion questions. Actually start thinking about this in advance. So rather than just showing up and not really putting any effort or energy into it, we're just like, hey, I'm here, I get my attendance points. Set those reminders for people to do their homework. And then you can even have things right here like church leadership channel. So this one's private. It's invite only. It's not discoverable in the thread. The only people who are going to see this are people who've been intentionally invited in and accepted that invitation. And you'll also have the same experience here on the website of things. And so here's that Interbay website. And if I click on messaging right here, you will see all those threads that I'm part of and be able to manage this on the website of things or participate on the website of things. This has been a big, big win. Again, the users, for the most part, they're going to use the mobile app side of things because that's where the most engagement takes place. You still give them an option to engage via web, but where I've seen the most value out of the web is really for the admin. So think about if you manage, 5 or 6 small groups and you have the resource material right here, and we needed to get this to all these small groups, but we haven't seen these folks in 12 months. How do we effectively get that to them? You can come here into the messaging side of things, drag and drop those PDFs, drag and drop those discussion questions, send some encouragement, send all of that good stuff right here, and be able to knock that out in a matter of seconds or minutes. On the dashboard admin side, this is the Subsplash dashboard. If you just click right here onto messaging and channels, you'll see all the threads that have been created by the church. If I click into one right here, you'd be able to change the name, oversee assign a manager of that channel, see the members of it, and then you can even make those make this channel public so anybody can join, have it be discoverable, or allow others to invite. And so how cool is this? So think of this scenario. There might be a small group that you're running, and guess who's usually in charge of inviting everybody to that small group? Usually that all funnels back on the manager or the volunteer. If we can open up the invites and let anybody, now we're really accomplishing that last part of the discipleship journey, which is outreach and empowering that congregation member to be the best evangelizing tool we have, which is what they should be. And so if there's a friend, a coworker, a neighbor, a classmate, someone that they want to invite into that Bible study, it's not on the Bible study leader to invite them in, have it invite a stranger. The person they don't know being invited gets an invite from a stranger that they don't even know what this is. They don't know if this is spam. and rather than empowering that congregation member to be that bridge to bring them in. And so it's like, hey, come join our Bible study. I'm going to invite you right now. Boom, send it to them right there. That's their relationship. We want to make sure they can foster that and make them feel welcome and comfortable, even though they might not be a church leader, or on staff. And so just an amazing, amazing feature that you guys get to control there, as well as customize the artwork as well to brand that group just to you guys. Mike, again, the brains behind a lot of the operation. Mike, anything you want to add to that? Anything I missed?
Yeah, well, as you all can see, there's a ton of flexibility built into this. We really hope that this could grow into being the centralized communication hub for your church. And so part of being the centralized communication hub is, as we work towards that vision, is we have to have tons of flexibility. And so sometimes a little flexibility can get, it's easy to get a little bit lost. So, I mean, I think too, as you look at the conversations list and think about these different channels, we're calling them, I think you could begin to picture like, how could I use this for particular ministries in my church? So it'd be, oh, I could have all the small groups have a group set up in here. I could have all of the service teams. Maybe there's committees or ad hoc kind of conversation channels like Bobby showed with the church leadership channel. And then what's really exciting too are the public channels. We've heard from a lot of churches, they're using those in really interesting ways. Like I said, there's tons of flexibility. So there's lots of folks that are dreaming up different ways to use it. But one of the ones that's really exciting is folks are having like a newcomers channel, and they'll have pastors that are in there kind of monitoring it. And so if somebody could jump in and ask a question about the church, or and then they can get connected to a small group or something like that. So they have this whole process of welcoming newcomers that they're including this in. So anyway, I just wanted to give a little bit of a taste of some of the flexibility here. But if you need help thinking through any of that, as Bobby said, we have teams of folks that are kind of at your disposal on this, can kind of help you think through the best way to apply it to your church context.
Cool. And I'm going to keep the screen here for 1 second, Chris, but we're going to jump to the Q&A portion, but I just did see one question kind of roll in that I did want to address in terms of like, how does it interact with the video playing? Like, are you kind of locked into one thing? So I know a lot of people watching on YouTube, if you're watching on YouTube, you can't leave YouTube, or you're watching on Facebook. If you leave away from that video, like, oh, well, but let me open this up. So for example, we have a sermon here. Let's pretend like this is live. I'm going to hit play. The nice part with our media player, it picks up where you leave off. There's no commercials or no ads. If you click this little minimize window to go picture in picture, so you can navigate to any other parts of the app, as well as take a note, registrations, connection cards, discussion questions, give a gift, anything like that. But you can click up here on that chat icon. So the video's still playing. You're still being able to listen and watch, as well as navigate to other parts and be able to chat and say, Pastor Mike is on fire. Woo! and be able to still be able to watch the message and navigate to other parts. But yeah, I did see that question pop in the Q&A, but I'll let Chris, I'll let you take the screen back here. And then Mike, you want to take the next question?
Yeah, so we'll jump into Q&A. Like I said, feel free to post questions and kind of upvote the ones that are exciting to you. I have not opened this and read any of these yet. So Bobby, if you have one that you're ready for, otherwise I'll get prepped here for the next one.
Yeah. So obviously this is probably the most asked question a lot of the times in terms of like, what does it cost? What's the price? How does it work for a small ministry? And so, yes, there's a lot to this conversation. And basically Subsplash Messaging is a part of is an add-on to the overall bundle. With that said, it is priced in a way to where we want to make sure every church has access to this. And so even at that first entry-level tier of messaging, it's $20 a month. And so I get that there are tools that are free, but what you end up saving in the hard cost of free, you end up paying an insane amount of the soft cost in terms of managing and effectiveness. And so even at $20 a month, like we are trying our best to make sure like even small churches have a chance to get this. And even the entire package, it's not so much what I tell teams, this is not an expense is what I'd say. This is an asset. There are worthy expenses that the church, is strategic in investing in. The cool part about this, the Subsplash platform is a strategic investment, but literally a proven asset, which is why there's a giving growth guarantee. And it's not that we unlocked the incredible secret to all this. It's not like anyone's discipleship, journey story goes, hey, I grew up in the church, I wandered away, but then I saw this giving platform, even though our giving's incredible. Like that giving portal was just the most amazing thing. I had to give it money. And then I knew right then and there, I had to recommit my life to the church. It's like, no, absolutely not. That's not anyone's story. But if we can have someone watch a message, join a Bible study, read their Bible more, be encouraged more, giving growth's a natural byproduct of that. And so really, like, if we can focus on the most important things and tackle the most important things first, we are literally guaranteeing and proving that this will be an asset, not an expense. But again, it's all about strategy and it's all about communication, which is why you have a full layer of tech support throughout our entire partnership that you can reach out to anytime, as well as a client success manager. So someone there to talk strategy of like, not just, okay, I have this tool, what on earth do I do with it? But how do I leverage this? We have this goal. Here's what we want to hit. How do I use this toolbox to get there? And when do I use each tool? All those questions we'll be able to help with. Mike, you want to take
really There's a really great question here. How can messaging help interact with older populations that may not have a smartphone or are comfortable with new technology? And so, like I said earlier, it's our goal that as we continue to build on this product, it really becomes the centralized hub of church communication. In order to do that, we do need to continually make it easier for everyone in your church to access it. And so I think that there's going to be more that we can continue to do on this, but a big step forward is the web messaging that we just launched. What we found is if we can make it really simple and easy to understand, we can get more participation, not just with older populations, but across the spectrum. And so what we've recommended is finding a good spot on your website to link to web messaging, and folks can get in there and really start on the web. And as they experience that, that's kind of getting over the first hurdle. And hopefully the next ones are a little bit easier. At the same time, there's other tools that you're probably using. Like we talked about the different tools up front. They're not all bad. Each one has a place depending on your context. But since they aren't optimized for discipleship, we think there's a really great opportunity here. But you could leverage existing tools as you make that transition. So if those folks are using email, you can, use email to help them make that transition. And so, like I said, we want to continue to work on this. So as you have ideas too, please send them our way. My team loves that kind of feedback because we really want to be sensitive to your unique context.
Yeah, and even to piggyback on top of that, Mike. So we definitely field that question a lot of times. Like our congregation is not comfortable with technology. Our congregation is not as tech savvy. And so here's what I'd say. It's not so much like that they don't do it. We just need to communicate the value of it. And so the one of the best case studies is my mom, who's actually watching my 6-month-old on the other room right now. And so I thought she would be the last person on the planet to get a smartphone. And she was had her heels dug in that she was not going to ever get a smartphone. And she did a pretty good job fighting that battle until grandkids came along. Then she was like, I want to FaceTime every day. I want pictures every day. I want videos every day. And so it wasn't that she was opposed to a smartphone. It wasn't opposed to technology. She was just definitely a little intimidated by it. But if we can communicate the value and like why they should engage in this way, then it completely changes the conversation. So if we're providing something that is of incredible value, that goes a long, long way. Because clearly pictures of myself and my brother was not enough for my mom, but pictures of grandkids, that's the value she was really looking for. Let me kind of tackle the next question here too. I see a couple questions too about like text versus Subsplash chat. Like what's the difference? Like how, why one over the other? Well, just even think of it from your own experience. Who's been a part of a long text thread, whether it's work, whether it's friends, who loves being a part of those? And everyone's head goes down. And so it's not that those aren't effective, but they're just they wear people out. The nice part with this, exactly what you're getting when you open up that space and what that space is about. And so it's just putting that user in the right headspace to be able to enjoy that experience a little bit more. Texts are kind of reserved mostly for small exchanges, one-on-one. Once the number in that group starts adding and adding and adding, the more people just go like, mute, turn off. I don't want to be a part of this anymore. And so I'd say like save that for a little more one-on-one interactions. And also in terms of onboarding, maybe someone new to the church might not love to give someone their cell phone number and then be added to a text thread where they don't know anybody else. And there's all these other just random phone numbers. And there's just a lot of just kind of chaos and confusion going on in there. And so hopefully that helps. In addition, just overall effectiveness, email, again, probably has the lowest open rate. Text message is pretty good. When it comes to our push notifications and other chat modules, they actually have a similar open rate to to text as a thread, but actually where these notifications, specifically push notifications, come in about a 7 times higher open rate, so click-through rate. So it's not just getting them to open, but getting them to take that next actionable step is where some of these other tools will actually have a significant advantage. But Mike, yeah, you want to take the next one?
Yeah, so I want to answer this question. Somebody asked, how do I get people to even check out this messaging? Would it be easier to use once text? One thing that we didn't show in the demo is that we really took this into consideration that people are going to be moving from something maybe like a text to this. And so there's really great tools where you can enter someone's email address or phone number, and then they get a text message or email, and they can tap on that and join. And what's really cool is that a lot of folks that are, and this is probably different at every church, but there's lots of different tools that folks use to communicate. It's like you're in a service team and they're using, a GroupMe, and you're in a small group and they're using a Facebook group and email for other things. And what's really cool is that the more this is centralized, it actually kind of has a benefit to getting that flywheel spinning. The more that there's more communication and great content interaction in one place, the more folks will want to use it. Is what we've generally seen from the churches that have been successful rolling this out. I can, you want to take the next one, Bobby?
Yeah, go for it. We got about time for maybe 1 or 2 more, maybe. But yeah, fire away, Mike.
Yeah, I want to buzz through a few of these here that are kind of more product facing, since that's kind of my forte on this. So one is, where can I see a list of the users that have created an account? Right now, whenever you go to the Subsplash dashboard and you're managing a new channel, creating one or adding folks, you can search for anybody in there and add them directly to that. And then over time, we're going to grow on that to make it even a little bit more sophisticated and useful. But that's what we have today. And then one more I'll just buzz through really quickly is this something we can add to our existing Subsplash mobile app, or is this another app to download for our members? And that's what's really cool about this, I think, is that it's all in the same ecosystem. So it's enabled in the same Subsplash app. And it would enable that little messaging icon in the top corner as well. You get the web communication interface with it as well.
Awesome. And I'm seeing a couple other questions come in, both in the chat and the Q&A. But another one I'm seeing is just other avenues like Slack or GroupMe. And so, again, this is making one centralized hub. And so it is one piece of the entire Subsplash ecosphere. And so, hey, you want to watch a message, we're going to send you to YouTube. Hey, you want to, do something else, we're going to send you to Facebook. If you want to join the group, you got to join GroupMe. Now, if you want to check out the event counter, you got to, do this. And so we're now like spreading ourselves way too thin and throwing it way out there and just kind of like, I hope this sticks. I hope this gets it. And then also the onboarding process. Imagine if you're new to the church and you're like, welcome to the church. We're so excited. We're going to need you to download this. But also like keep in mind, each one of those avenues. So the cool part with this becomes that online campus. You want to watch a message, you want to give a gift, you want to pull up your sermon notes, you want to read the Bible, you want to engage with other members. All of that can happen in one spot, rather than having to throw them out. With that said, going back to that golf club analogy, like each one of these tools is important, and understanding when to use each one rather than funneling people out to Facebook or YouTube, for example, where those tools are specifically built and designed to pull your congregations away. I don't know if anybody saw the Social Dilemma Netflix documentary this last year, the scariest documentary I've seen in a long time. Basically, the developers of Google, or Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, all these tech giants, they basically have laid out the playbook and said, these platforms are built in a way to manipulate your brain to take you down to the content that we want to show you. And so if we are intentionally putting all this effort and energy into producing our content for the church, just to give them away to Facebook and YouTube at the end of the day, like, oh man, like we're kind of missing that last leg of the journey, where Facebook and YouTube go, great, thank you so much, we're going to take it from here. I know you came to watch Pastor Mike's sermon, but don't you really want to see Michael Jordan take off from the free throw line and dunk on everybody? And you get someone like me who's like, absolutely, I do want to see that. Have you seen MJ take off? It looks like he's floating. He's defying gravity. It's incredible. And so like you get someone like me who's easily distracted, like 10 minutes later, I'm gone. like you've lost that person. Every single click takes them further away from you as a ministry. Compared to this platform, every single click should take you one step deeper. And so that's kind of the difference there. Rather than pointing out, we're trying to use those other avenues to point and funnel people back into where we control that space. Mike, you got time for like one more question, maybe? If not, we can jump.
Yeah, I want to jump on this top, at least to do this top voted one too.
Yeah.
Someone's rolling this out to their church this Sunday, which is really exciting. Is there a video you've created that walks the general congregant through the steps on how to sign up? So we do have some stuff that our marketing teams put together about how to interact with some of it. So if you reach out to us, your customer success manager might be the best person. They can send you some of those resources. But beyond that, it's a little bit challenging without knowing your exact context, how to kind of advise you. I would be happy if you find me on LinkedIn and ask any questions. And that goes for anyone that's attending. I'd be happy to help as much as I'm able, answer some additional questions. But one thing, just as all of you think through the rollout, we found, like a lot of things, it's just good to take some baby steps. We usually encourage folks to, first of all, invite your staff team. If you have a staff team or your leadership team, just set up one channel, move people in there so that you can become comfortable with it. From there, maybe pick one ministry at your church. Hey, we're going to do our small groups is the kind of the really sweet spot that a lot of people focus on. So, invite your small group leaders and then empower them to add the folks that are part of their group, remove folks. So that's really nice about Subsplash Messaging is, although we have this great dashboard where you can go in and add and remove people and create all this stuff, you can also delegate a lot of that if it makes sense in your context. I know that only scratches the surface, but like I said, we want to help, partner with you to roll this out and make sure that you're successful with it. So please reach out, as you get close to those milestones, and we'd be glad to help. Yeah.
And Mike, before we jump to what's next, to just piggyback on that, I know we're going long, but that is one of the pivotal values with Subsplash. Like, yes, you get technical support, which is very important, which is almost non-existent in the software for subscription space, to be honest with you. Like, try to get a hold of somebody on the phone, at QuickBooks or something like this. It's impossible. It's maddening. Or without paying extra. But you also get a client success manager throughout our whole partnership. And so when this thing called COVID breaks out 3 weeks before Easter Sunday, and we have to totally scrap what our game plan is and come up with something new, you have someone you can call, them by name, and you can say like, hey, Bobby, what in the world's going on? Like, this thing called COVID happened. We can't meet in person. Can you remind me again of everything we can do in this online campus and these digital tools to make sure like Easter's a big smash? And that's just one small, topic for one small season. These conversations evolve throughout the whole calendar. So it's like, all right, summer breaks here. People float away and they're on summer vacation. We don't see them as much. What do we do in that season? And then people come back for school. All right, back to school, little refresh, little reset. What can we do to get people ramped up and excited again? Into Christmas, like, hey, there's going to be some people we don't see except for maybe twice a year, and they're going to be in our building, in this week. What can we do to make sure that we don't lose that opportunity? And so depending on the season, there's going to be different goals and whatever project you guys have. Maybe it's a building project, maybe it's a church plant, whatever those projects are, let the client success manager know. And there's a strategy for each. Take away, Mike.
Okay. Well, I do need to transition now, but I can't resist one more that I think I can answer really quickly. And that is just a question about opening it up to DMs only to the channel managers instead of everyone within the group. So that is kind of a differentiator with Subsplash Messaging compared to some of the other tools that are in the space. We do have direct messaging available. It's off by default, so that you can choose as a church if you want to enable that. And so from there, folks could search for the channel leader, the group leader, and send them just a private message. But again, that's up to you if you want to use that. We do want to come up with some great ways to improve that this year. So if you have particular feature requests, please send them my way, and we'll see what we can do. And with that, I want to give you all a sneak peek of some of the stuff that's coming next. So this is really exciting for me. We haven't announced any of this yet, but these new features are going to be coming out here in just a couple weeks. So the first one is a little bit more of an integrated Bible experience. Like we said up front, we really want to encourage a culture of interacting with scripture. We know that's really, really important to people's spiritual health. So one thing that we're adding is, if you got a chance to play with it or saw Bobby, there's tons of different message types that are optimized, for the church context. And so we're going to add a new one, which is being able to share a Bible passage. So you'll be able to select select a book, highlight some verses, and then send that as the special message type to your channel. And then what's also really cool is we're rolling out threaded conversations next month. And so one of the tools that made this really popular is Slack, if any of you are familiar with that. So it's somewhat similar there. It basically allows you to have a sidebar conversation around a particular topic to keep the main kind of conversation thread very clean. So it's also cool how these two things fit together really nicely. You could someone could share a Bible passage, and then you as a small group could have a conversation that's focused on that piece of scripture. So we're really excited that should be coming out to all Subsplash messaging customers on mobile and on web here in just a couple of weeks. And then one thing too, we have a really great quote here from a church we partner with from the very beginning that I wanted to share. Anthem Ventura has been, providing feedback and helping us shape this since 2019 when we originally launched it. And Pastor Bert there had this great quote. He says, "I see Subsplash messaging being crucial for any church, any size, any culture. Good communication transcends culture, and this is really exciting potential for any church." And so I know that we really just scratched the surface on this today, but I hope that you'll begin to get just an idea of how Subsplash messaging, or even another tool like this, could be really helpful for your church in your unique context. And so we'll continue to iterate on this in 2021. This is still a big focus for Subsplash. We're going to be making it more flexible, more powerful, really to serve more churches. And so, like we said, a lot of this does kind of depend on your culture, how you could best use it. And so Bobby will walk us through a couple next steps there if you're interested in chatting with anybody.
Yeah. I mean, take a deep breath, everyone. I know we've taken a very deep dive, and this is a lot to digest all at once, which is why there's going to be a recording coming your way. Yahoo. But how darn cool is that? So the coming features, Mike just talked about integrated Bible experience. Do you think the developers at Facebook or YouTube or GroupMe or Slack or any of those, do you think any of these tech companies are sitting in a small room asking, how do we make sure people read their Bible more? Absolutely not. They're probably coming up with, how are there ways to harvest more of our users' data to be able to turn around and sell that for better ads, and then everybody gets a new Tesla. So those are the conversations happening over there. These conversations are really about, how do we, again, foster that discipleship journey? What are tools that are going to equip you guys on the front lines of ministry to do the work that's been put on all of your hearts? And so, not an easy task. Again, the environment that we're operating in is incredibly difficult, and the hand that we've all been dealt this last year is incredibly difficult and challenging. And so, with that said, the task at hand, but we understand it, and we want to help, and we want to be there to help usher in this new season for the church. We are on the cusp. We're on the cusp of what I think is a revival. You better believe the world's hurting. You better believe that there are so many people in pain and in desperate need to hear what we, the church, have to offer. And so how do we make it the most accessible as possible? Can I get an amen out there? Just a lawn fish. Woohoo. Amen. Let's go. Let's get after it. The task is at hand. The harvest is now. And so next steps for everybody. If you're already a Subsplash client, reach out to your client success manager. You can even sign up today right there inside the dashboard. Click on messaging. Boom. Activate it. Let's go. If you are not a Subsplash client yet, feel free to reach out to us. We will make sure a ministry consultant, so myself or someone on our team, reaches out probably today, but definitely before the weekends, to follow up with you, tackle any questions you might have. And then beyond that, just want to, again, thank you guys so much for being a part of this, carving a little segment out of the day to be a part of the conversation. And we will definitely keep everyone in the loop as just the entire tool evolves. Our mission's not done. Our work is not done. And we're excited to get after it in this next upcoming year. Thanks, everybody.